friends, in this video I want to tell you my story, how I managed to recover completely from patellar tendinitis, also known as the jumper's knee. Furthermore, how I managed to do it without the use of expensive physiotherapy, chiropractors, doctors, and especially without painkillers, without anti-inflammatory drugs, creams, lotions, and other focus pocus potions that you simply do not need in your body to be healthy, and especially you don't need all that stuff to recover from this injury. Again, all that is poison. Now, I want to tell you a very quick story how I managed to earn this unpleasant injury, and then we're gonna go into very specific techniques how I obviously recovered from it, what exactly that I did to heal patellar tendinitis. So, let's begin. I developed this injury due to a lot of running and a lot of leg training. And in fact, I've gotten this injury on both knees. On my right knee, the actual patellar tendon was damaged, and also the top tendon, which I believe is called the quadricep tendon or something along those lines. This knee was very painful. And on my left knee, only the top tendon was damaged. And I got this damage through doing a lot of running. Literally, each day I would do something along the line of 13-kilometer run. At the end of that run, I would go to a park and would do a lot of one-leg sit-ups. On each leg I would do between 12 to 18 sit-ups. When 2 legs are done, that's 1 set, and I would do 8 sets of that. Of course, I trained my upper body as well, but primarily I want to focus on the exercises that I did for my legs. And between 13K run and my one-leg sit-ups, which I would do for, usually I would do that for 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off, and like that I would go for months on end, between 3 to 4 months. And gradually, as I was doing that, I started feeling that my knees started to hurt more and more and more. So, one wonderful summer day, I think it was either early or close to middle of June, after such training in the morning, I got home, spent doing something all day. I wasn't really active, but in the evening I was going down the stairs. I took a step down the first set of stairs and I felt tremendous amount of pain. I didn't know what it was at that very second. I thought maybe I put my knee wrong or something weird and unpleasant happened. But nevertheless, which actually it did, but when I took the second step, now I knew this was a repetitive, not one-time, one-step injury, because on the second step it was even more painful, and I literally had to go down the stairs with my knee straight. I couldn't bend it, I was going like this down the stairs. This one was also painful to bend, my left knee, but it was, since it had less damage, then I basically tolerated that, but this one was extremely painful. Going down either the stairs or downhill was always painful. Going up, not as much. I think many of you who have this injury will relate and actually have similar experience. However, tolerating the pain is one thing, but actually recovering from it, getting rid of the pain and becoming 100% healthy, that is a whole different story, and that is something that I was able to achieve. I was able to fully heal my knees, and now I still do those 13-kilometer runs, I still do those one-leg sit-ups and do a whole bunch of other training, including explosive sprints and so on, and I feel 100% healthy. And in fact, it wasn't that those long-distance runs or one-leg sit-ups that actually injured me. It was more what I wasn't doing in addition to these strenuous exercises that made those exercises work against me. And now those techniques and the things that I will show you how I managed to recover from patellar tendinitis and jumper's knee, those very same little techniques, I do them every day, and now they permit, again, long distance running or any strenuous leg exercises to actually benefit me and strengthen my body. So that's what I am talking about. And I want to get into two subjects. One, was my immediate reaction to this injury, which I believe was somewhat incorrect. And second, I want to go into 3 theories why this happens to us as humans in general. So first, my immediate reaction, I think many of you may have done the same, or many athletes do the same in general for just about any injury, is to take a break, to take a pause and stop training your muscles, your limbs, or whatever part of the body that is injured. And that is exactly what I did. I stopped all leg training, and I stopped that for 3 weeks. And why I say it was not the right thing to do, because from one perspective it did kind of give me that break, it allowed muscles to recover, but eventually it did not lead me anywhere. Because during the first week my pain only increased. During the second week I more or less got used to the pain, but it was still there. And during the third week I was getting so frustrated because the pain was more or less not there, but as soon as I started to move my knees, and especially, let's say, do this type of a bounce test where I would strain a little bit, put a little bit of strain on my tendons, then suddenly they were in as much pain as they were originally. So this was very disappointing that after 3 weeks of doing nothing for my legs, I still trained my upper body, but after 3 weeks of doing nothing, missing out on the summer, there was not much recovery, which I actually expected. I was okay, I'm going to take a first 2 weeks break, and by that time surely my knees will recover and I will be back to running, back to training, back to one leg sit-ups. That did not happen. So I got tired of doing nothing, and I like to be a man of action, so I decided I need to figure out a new way of how to heal myself, how to recover from this injury, how to heal my knees and start doing all the things that I really like, such as running, such as training, doing leg exercises and so on. And that is exactly what I did. However, before we go into those specific exercises, I would like to tell you basically my 3 theories, which I believe are supported by our physiology, logic and medicine. But those theories are necessary for you to comprehend and better understand those exercises that I will show you when we go to the actual practical application of them in your routine and daily life. So let's get into it. The 3 theories are as follows. The first group of people that I believe get this injury, I theorize, are the elderly, the people who have poor blood circulation, especially in their legs, and the people who do not exercise a lot. And in all those categories, what happens is if you have poor blood circulation, your muscles, your tendons, your joints get weaker. If you do not exercise a lot, then they are already weak, and whenever you have an emergency need for more strength in your leg, for example, you twisted an ankle and you're falling and now you need to brace yourself on using your knee, a tendon rips or gets injured and you naturally get tendinitis. And the last one is of course the elderly, who may just through old age and muscular tendons or just tissue degeneration may start having weaker tendons, especially if you do not exercise, eat well, or maintain the best possible health that you can. That obviously creates issues and especially weakens your tissues and tendons. So that is the first category and why potentially we get this injury. The exercises that I will be showing in this video, I believe 100% will help you, and furthermore they're doable by elderly, by people who do not exercise a lot, and by people who have some sort of poor blood circulation or other conditions. They are not very difficult to do, very easy stuff. Now, the next group of people, in fact the next two theories are for the next two group of people who are probably both athletes, whether they are occasional athletes or just recreational people who enjoy sport, or they're actually professional athletes who perform on the highest level. Now, The second theory why this problem happens to us as athletes now is because we do not stretch our especially joints, which are connected obviously and full of tendons, and we do not stretch them very well. And that is, I theorize, because while muscles we feel very well, we can see them, they look all nice, and whenever for example, if I'm stretching my chest and shoulder muscle and bicep, I feel it, I can see it, it's nice to stretch them, feels great. But the tendons especially, let alone the whole, well, the joints more or less we can work somehow like this, but the tendons we do not see, we do not actually pay a great deal of attention to them, and do not do any specific exercise to stretch specifically the tendons. So we neglect them to a great extent as athletes. Thus, whenever the tendons are not warmed up, they don't have the whole full amplitude, they're not stretched, then when you apply some sort of strenuous activity and it's too much for the tendons, it gets damaged, it gets ripped, it inflammates, and you get tendinitis. So that's the second theory. And the last theory goes into, basically it's kind of a combination of the previous one, but it goes further. I believe with our modern developments in the way that we train, where we have specific machines that can isolate a single muscle, where we have people who will help us, for example, lift the weights and position them properly, and we can do a very kind of a short range of motion exercise, where we have proteins that are primarily focused on growing the muscle, we get an imbalance where the muscle grows so big and so strong that the tendons do not have the time to catch up, because ideally whatever the muscle can pull, that is how much the actual tendon that connects the muscle and the joint, the whole thing, can tolerate. And that is the ideal situation. However, when we train the muscle and we pump it up and it becomes big and strong and huge, or whatever, it doesn't have to be even big and strong, it simply has to be in a disbalance with the tendon, when it's just simply stronger than what the tendon can hold, then suddenly we get this false perception of our strength and ability. And I felt it on myself. That's why I am theorizing many athletes may be feeling the same. So muscular wise, and that's exactly what we feel, we don't really feel tendons very well. We can flex the muscle, we can feel it, it feels great, you can feel its pain, its burn as you're working it out, but tendons are just there until they inflammate and start to become painful. You don't particularly feel them or pay attention much to them. So the point is, muscles wise, we may feel this power and strength that we can grab and move mountains and take that dumbbell and lift it up and throw it. And that feels all nice and wonderful because muscles are very powerful. It's by the primarily way how we judge our strength. However, if just one of your tendons is not up to par with the muscle, it's not in a full balance, it hasn't been properly trained, properly strengthened, properly stretched, then you take that powerful weight which you feel that you can do, and you pick it up, or you do that push with the leg, you do that sprint or a run, or you land with that jump, and muscles easily tolerate it, but the tendons don't, and they get damaged. They rip, inflammate again, and you suddenly earn this unpleasant condition. So that's that. These are three theories that I believe why I believe we get this injury. And if you understand them, so if you are elderly or you don't exercise a lot, naturally right away you see what you need to do. Even if you do have developed this condition, obviously, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video probably. If you're an athlete, then you suddenly realizing, okay, I need to pay more attention to properly stretch the tendons. I need to pay more attention to my muscle tendon, muscle joint balance. So the exercises that I will show you will teach you exactly that in a very simple and straightforward way. So let's get into it. Okay, without any further ado, let's get into the actual exercises that have helped me recover from this unpleasant injury. Now, before actually we do that, once again I will make a very quick disclaimer for the athletes who like a challenge, who like something difficult to overcome. Please don't mistake the simplicity of these exercises for their ineffectiveness. Yes, they are very simple, yes, they are very straightforward, and you're very muscular and strong. They will be extremely easy for you to do. Just because they are easy does not mean they do not work. And in fact they do. I hope they will. They have helped several other people that I've showed them to. And I highly recommend that you try them. For those of you who are not very physically active, most of them except for one or two will be also very easy to do, of course, as I've said it already. So let's get into it. The very first exercise will require on my end a chair, and on your end that will simulate a bed. So what you do is, from the moment you woke up, you do not get up and go anywhere, but you straighten your legs while you're still laying in bed. Actually, I see I require camera modification. Okay. You've straightened your legs while you're still lying in bed, and you begin doing this very simple motions with your feet. You go back, forward, back, forward, back, forward. Very easy to do. Then you go inside, outside, inside, outside. You do that for a while. Then you do the circular motion in one direction. Then you do circular motion obviously in the other direction. Now, very important, after you've done that, don't forget your toes. First work your big toe. Work that muscle that makes it contract. This is a very major muscle in your feet. Work that big toe and then the little toes. Work all those muscles in your feet. And then after you've done all that, make sure to flex your entire legs. Flex your major leg muscles, flex your knees, flex your calves. Even you can flex your feet a little bit. Just flex them, relax them. Flex, relax. And what all of this does together is gets the blood flow moving all throughout your legs. I understand that this exercise does not directly target your knees and your tendons, but it gets the blood flowing all throughout your legs, especially in the morning as soon as you woke up, when your legs are the most stiff, when your muscles haven't been moving much. So this is the perfect time. It expands the veins, it expands the capillaries. It will do wonders, especially if you do this exercise regularly, preferably for the rest of your life. And it requires literally only 3 minutes on your part the moment you woke up. It will actually be good exercise to wake you up. So that's that. Make sure you do this. Next, you get up, and before going anywhere, you turn around, stand next to your bed, and you do a full sit-up as far as you can, as far as your flexibility allows. And you do about 3 to 5 full sit-ups. Now these sit-ups are now beginning to actually work on your actual tendons. They're stretching the actual tendons on your knees. They're also improving blood circulation. They're making your muscles work. They're stretching your muscles. And as you know, that increased blood circulation is what heals most of your injuries, illnesses, and so forth. This is a very healthy thing to do. If you cannot do a full sit-up, if you do not have the flexibility to do it, then you simply get to your bed or stay on your bed, and you do a sit-up from your bed. And maybe you will need to do a little bit more, maybe let's say 10 to 15, maybe even 20 sit-ups, but that will warm up your legs, that will prepare your tendons for the next exercises to come. And if, let's say, you've done 15 to 20 sit-ups from the bed, maybe your flexibility then will permit to go slightly farther down, maybe to this position as far as you feel comfortable. I think it is okay to experience slight pain, but If you're feeling a lot of pain in the morning doing this, obviously you shouldn't do it. Sometimes I felt a little bit of pain, sometimes I felt none, but as long as you do any type of sit-up very slowly, you do not need to come down very quickly. That may be damaging to your knees, but as long as you do it slowly, gradually, then this is A, very safe, and B, very beneficial for your knees, and that is the way I recommend that you do this exercise. After you've done your sit-ups, you can go about your business in the morning, brush your teeth, whatever, and then come back 15 minutes later and do this exercise that I highly recommend for you to do, but you will require a very expensive piece of machinery that you cannot buy anywhere else other than from me personally, and that piece of machinery is this block of wood. I mean, very rare thing to find. Okay, I'm adding a little bit of humor so to make this video more interesting, but continuing on this block of wood. Many of you athletes know exactly what I'm going to do now, but it's very simple stuff. You get onto it and you start going down all the way to get the full range of motion and flexibility, stretching your calves, and you go up, you go down, up, down, up. You can actually flex your legs and your knees, and it actually feels really good. And you do this exercise until you feel the burn in your calves. This exercise again is targeted to get the blood flowing, blood circulation improving, and basically through this motion increasing even the blood pressure within the blood vessels, and thus healing all your injuries in your legs, including the damaged tendons. So again, this exercise does not specifically target the tendons, although whenever I flex my knees I feel fantastic. It feels kind of very nice for the tendons. So I do recommend, while you're flexing your entire knees, going up and down, and this you can do on the stairs. I do them on the stairs. I don't use this block of wood. I have plenty of stairs in my house, but even if you do not have stairs, the block of wood feels, maybe for some of you who do not exercise a lot, do not have that flexibility, maybe a challenge. Then you can obviously work from the floor. Something like this, simply working on the floor until you feel that burn in your calf. So that's the exercise that I recommend you do, and you can do how many sets, how many times you feel comfortable. So I'm not going to give you any numbers specifically here. In fact, I don't ever in the morning count how many I do. I just do them like this until I feel the muscles burn, feel that nice tension and pain in them, and then I stop, because you're not doing this exercise for training. You're simply warming up your legs, increasing the blood circulation. Next exercise that I recommend you to do, it's extremely once again complicated, this is a joke once more, but this exercise comes with a story. So if you remember, I said to myself, it's enough, I'm going to do something, I need to figure out a way to heal myself, and I'm no longer going to sit at home and wait, simply doing nothing, not exercising my legs. What I did the very next day was precisely these set of exercises, and then after this particular one that I just showed you, I went on a run. I said to myself, that's it, I'm restarting running again, regardless if it's extremely painful, regardless of the consequences, I'm going to do a run. And here is what I've discovered. So first of all, of course, I did these warm-ups, and actually, in fact, I did one more exercise before that, a stretching exercise before going to the run. It's extremely important, it's probably one of the most important ones, but let's focus on the run first. Right away I knew I had to pace myself. Obviously I wasn't going to run with the same speed as I did before, nor with the same intensity. That would be foolish, even though I could disregard the pain, I could run through the pain and run faster. But again, that would be foolish, and I do not highly recommend that you do that, especially when you warm up and you feel like suddenly your knees are beginning to feel better during, let's say, the middle of the run. I literally had to hold myself back and run very slowly, very intelligently, and very cautiously. And so this is literally how I ran. I ran with this speed, like that. I wasn't pushing my cardio at all, it wasn't difficult on my legs, I hardly broke a sweat. But precisely this low intensity, slow pace run, I believe, was one of the most influential factors in healing my legs. And here's why. Again, everything I'm going to say is a theory, but it was proven by the end result, the fact that I actually recovered my tendons in my knees completely while doing this low intensity training, but nevertheless training, not meaning sitting at home doing nothing. So as you run at this very slow pace, you are obviously increasing blood circulation in the entire area, in your legs, and especially in your knees. Increased blood circulation leads to recovery. Blood brings to all your damaged areas and to all areas of your body nutrients, vitamins, new cells, takes away the damaged ones, and so forth. So blood circulation is very good for you. And during this run, obviously, you are doing exactly that. At the same time, the pace is so slow that you are not damaging your tendons. You're not putting that much pressure. You're not running with the full speed that the tendons is working really hard and is actually some of the fibers are ripping. You're literally doing very easy runs. So what the tendons is doing is simply working at a very slow pace, very repetitive, slow pace, has a slow motion. And when you do it long enough, what it does is basically strengthen itself. It's not, again, neither ripping or getting inflamed or damaged because the intensity is too low, but at the same time, due to increased blood circulation and to that repetitive slow motion, this slowly is beginning to become stronger and stronger and stronger, especially in light of what I did throughout that run. And what I did was as follows. Throughout the run, I would stop and I would stretch my legs. I came up with that idea from my past running experience, where then and now I often stop and I would do push-ups. I would do 5 sets of push-ups throughout an entire run. And each set would consist between 30 to 60 push-ups. That's beside the point. What I realized during that first run when I stopped to do that first set of push-ups was that since I stopped, I might as well stretch my legs, and I'm going to actually stretch my legs now. Every time I stop to do push-ups, that means throughout the run I would stop 5 times and stretch my legs. Since I did a 30-kilometer run, that's between what, 2 to 4 kilometers. Every 2 to 4 kilometers I'm stopping and stretching my legs, which obviously was beneficial. And the way I stretched them was through an exercise that I have already showed you, which is a basic sit-up. You go down slowly and gently and you go up. I would do 3, 2, 5, 6 sit-ups every time I stop, and that together with the run itself amplified my recovery substantially, at least I believe so. And here's why. As I've already said before, run increases blood circulation, the actual motion of the run strengthens the tendon, but now with this repetitive and regular stretching throughout the run, you are giving it that amplitude, you're stretching the tendon, and thus it can withstand accidental pressure that you may apply for it, or whatever pressure in general. Maybe the way you're running, it may be a bit too intense for the tendon if you were not to stretch it, but once you stretch it, it has that flexibility and a range of motion along with your muscles and your knees. So yeah, now throughout your run, you are stretching your entire legs basically in a motion that is most compatible with the run itself. So obviously running like this, and this is just a higher amplitude motion for your legs and knees. So that's that. I believe this little step tremendously amplified my recovery. I hope it will work the same for you. But on the next run, pretty much the next day, I figured out this interesting, another little secret or little step that I did. So from basically knowledge that I had about running, and especially long distance running, I think I heard from one gentleman who ran across the entire United States continent from the Pacific to Atlantic Ocean, and he said that whenever you start doing any type of running, the first 10 minutes you should be running very lightly, very easily. But since I was running the whole distance very lightly and very easily, I kind of applied that in a slightly different way, that I made it mandatory for myself to do these sit-ups during the first 10 minutes of the run. So I would get out and start running, and within first kilometer or two, or time-wise within first 5 to 10 minutes actually, I would again sit down and stretch my legs, and I found that actually is very important. So I wasn't just doing sit-ups throughout some sort of a specific interval. I was doing these stretching and sit-ups pretty much as soon as I started running, right before the run and after first 5 to 10 minutes after the run, and I found that as well very beneficial. And now I would like to get to a very important exercise that, as I said, I did these sit-ups before the run, but I did them in a very specific way. So here's how I do these specific sit-ups. You grab something you can hold on to and lean away from the wall. That creates an amplitude, and then I need to position my camera so you can see better. Again, you're leaning away from the wall, just simply grabbing onto. You can also use a handle, a doorknob, whatever. Simply something you can grab onto. And leaning away, and now you begin to slowly do a sit-up, like this. And then you go up, and you would do 10 times these type of sit-ups. You can actually go then forward, back, but especially this particular motion right here is, I believe, highly beneficial for your leg and stretches your tendons slightly in a different way than a regular sit-up, because here's the difference. A regular sit-up, when you go down, your knees go way farther than your toes. It stretches, it's basically a much harder, much more intense stretch for your knees. While right here, once you're doing this type of sit-up, your knees remain pretty much along with your feet, and it's much less intense, but at the same time it still stretches. It just feels very nice. I figured this exercise completely intuitively, but I had to show it to you because it does, again, I believe, benefited me greatly with my recovery. I think if you do this type of sit-ups while holding on to something, they are much more gentle on your knees. They also achieve that full flexibility and the potential to stretch your tendons, but at the same time you're also controlling the weight, how much you're putting on your feet, because you're holding on, your upper body is being held up by obviously your hands, and thus you're stretching your feet, but you're not putting all that weight of the upper body on them. So that is an exercise that I highly recommend you do before you go on a run. And then if means allow, for example, if there's a tree or a rail or something that you can hold after a run, do them after the run. So at this point I'm going to say that I've said pretty much everything for those of you who do not wish to engage in a strenuous sports activity and do not wish to go farther than just simply healing your knees. And by going farther, what I mean is actually strengthening to maintain even higher pressures, such as athletes experience when you do various sports. And for athletes, or for all of you who are interested to again take it a little bit farther and actually strengthen your legs and knees and especially tendons, then I recommend the following exercises, which are one-legged sit-ups combined specifically with these type of sit-ups where you're holding on to something. So here is the one-legged sit-up first, and you only do any type of leg training, anything like this, once you pretty much recovered, once you've recovered your tendons, let's say, to 90%. So until I wasn't, well, maybe 80%, but I would generally say I started doing the one-leg sit-ups after about a month of just running, and that is it. Just running, stretching, exactly the way I showed you. And then when I felt comfortable, I started doing one-leg sit-ups, and they also once again worked in my benefit, as I said, when I combined them with these specific sit-ups when you hold on to something. So first I would do these sit-ups. I would do about 10 of them, and then I would begin to do one-leg sit-ups. These actually apply a lot of pressure on your knee and especially on these tendons, but that is the point. First you stretch them, you already have recovered substantially, and now you begin to strengthen them, and these exercises isolate your tendons a lot. So that is the way how you do them. You first establish your balance. I highly recommend get your good footing, and then there's two types of sit-ups you can do. First one where you go forward like this. This is actually will show you that I fully recovered my knees. You can also grab onto something and do it while you're holding on. Actually, that's the other one. I went ahead of myself. So this is the forward sit-up on both legs, just to show you that I fully healed them. I can do them all day. But then you can also do the back sit-up, where you'd go on your actual heel and you would sit down and sit up. That is the way you do these type of exercises. And how many you do is totally up to you, but first you stretch yourself well with this exercise, then one leg sit-ups, and then again stretching sit-ups while you're holding on to something, or regular sit-ups. But regular sit-ups again put so much pressure on your tendons that I feel that these ones just are much better. And if you train like that, you do several sets, you are now making sure that your tendons are strengthening and your leg exercises are working for you and not against you. So again, if you would like to recall all the things that you're supposed to do, they're actually very easy. So you woke up and you do stretching for your feet, then you got up, you did a regular sit-up, 1, 2, 3 or 5, how many you wish to do. Then you obviously trained your calves going up and down. Then you, just about before you go on a run, you do these sit-ups where you hold on to something. How many you wish to do or feel comfortable, I recommend 10 or more. And then you do your run along with sit-ups. And then you run some more, and you do more sit-ups obviously. Then you finish your run. Once again, you do sit-ups while holding on to something. And those of you who are athletes, then you do one-legged sit-ups to strengthen your knees. That is exactly how I managed to accomplish this goal and heal my tendons and heal my knees. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Write me wherever you're watching this video. I'll try to reply. And until next videos, I will be making more of these episodes on health and fitness. Thank you. Take care.